Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright man, this Saturday we've got a major fight coming up between Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. The belt is on the line at 155 pounds. Now, I for one am super excited about this fight. I think Justin Gaethje deserves it. I think he has earned his shot at the title. There's a lot of people out there, fighters included, calling for Islam Makhachev to get this one. He's got an incredibly long unbeaten streak. He's been looking very dominant in a lot of his fights. So there were people thinking that he should be deserving of it, right? Guys saying that he's the true heir to the throne, that he's going to take it over as soon as he gets the shot. It was Khabib, then it gets handed down to him. Maybe that'll be the case when he eventually gets the belt. Personally, I'm a huge fan of level of competition. And I just can't help but notice that the level of competition that Justin Gaethje has been out there and beating is superior to the level of competition that Islam Makhachev has, right? So even though he's got that longer wig streak, I'm all for Justin Gaethje getting this shot. I think it's going to be a great fight. Now, let me start off talk a little bit about the champ, right? Charles Oliveira, man, this dude has got a story. He's still relatively young, right? Like 32, maybe 33 years old. Already been in the UFC for a long time, had a lot of ups and downs. Comes in, we see him, he's got the dominant jiu-jitsu, really slick, really heavy submission based, and everything else he's kind of learning on the job. Really kind of rough around the edges when it's coming to the striking. No real wrestling to speak of. Kind of can get in the clinch, drag guys down, do little things here and there. And he's just kind of turned out to be a middle of the road fighter, right? Ends up racking up some losses, and I gotta be honest, he misses weight. He's racking up some losses. Got like 4 out of 6 fights that he lost at a certain point in his career, and I looked, and I'll be the first to admit that I kind of wrote him off. I kind of thought that was it. Kind of thought, not necessarily that he was going to be out of the UFC, that he was going to be done for fighting, but that, taking this guy seriously as far as the title contender is concerned it's not really something to look at anymore. There was a point where I thought it was, and then there was a point where I was pretty sure that was it. For a guy to bounce back from the point that he was at in his career was going to be really impressive. Not something that you saw that much. And lo and behold, that is exactly what that man did. Old Charlie Olives comes out there and just puts on a win streak, man. Starts looking really impressive. And in the build up to this fight, some of the promo material that the UFC released, they were talking to Trevor Whitman, coach for Justin Gaethje, and I really truly like him as a coach. I really like what he brings as an analyst. I like what you can see with a lot of the fighters that he works with and the way that they develop. Just a student of the game, and he knows how to teach it to other people, right? And really developed it and worked it into an effective style. And one of the things that he said about Charles Oliveira was that something changed in him mentally. Something clicked. Like he figured it out. And that's really, I have to agree 1,000% with that. There's nothing physically different from this man from then to now. There's nothing physically that changed when all of a sudden you saw him go from these losses to this win streak. He is still that same guy. He's still out there doing a lot of those same things, particularly when it comes to the jiu-jitsu. But man, he changed it. He put it together. He does it. He's got a different mindset now. And it's the mindset of a champion. It's the mindset of a winner, man. And he comes out there and he puts it together. And his striking, don't get me wrong, technically, just when we look at him, we can see that his striking has gotten far better, right? In a lot of ways, he's very well versed in every asset of the game. When we look at his striking, it's very, very heavy Muay Thai, right? He comes in on that flat-footed. He's right in front of you. Look, when you're going to fight Charles Oliveira, you are not going to have to look for him. He's not bouncing around. He's not light on his feet. He's not moving around on the balls of his feet on the outside. He's not working a jab. Man, this dude is aggressive. He comes forward. He's heavy, flat foot, on his front foot, and he's coming forward and he's throwing hard shots. That's what he's about. Loves working right up the middle. Look at that fight with Dustin Poirier. Great shots up the middle. Great front kicks up the middle. Great knees when he gets in close. Great punches up the middle. Look at the way that he steps back with that little half step and shoots those counter shots. The one that he caught Michael Chandler with which was absolutely beautiful, that little left hook. I mean, he's got a lot of really good technique that he uses. And when you combine that with just his raw aggression, that just raw, I'm going to come forward, I'm going to put it on you. It wears on guys. It breaks them. It doesn't, let me step back. It doesn't necessarily break them mentally. Right, he's not going in there and grinding on guys for 4 or 5 rounds typically. What I mean is it overwhelms them. He comes in and he's got an incredibly high work rate, and he does not let up. He throws a wide variety of strikes, whether we're talking about the low kicks, the kicks up the middle. He's coming in with the knees. He's coming in with the clinch on the elbows. He's throwing punches at range. You think you're going to counter come forward. He takes that little half step back and catches you with the check left hook. So he's got all of these strikes, and he is just going. And then if he gets into the clinch, he's got great clinch work where he knows how he can look at what he did against Dustin Poirier. Comes out there and just gets, they start by striking, and the way that he just gets to the clinch, gets right underneath his arm and takes his back, and that's the beginning sequence that leads to the end of the fight. But once he gets into the clinch, he's just got these little moves that he uses and these little subtleties where he ends up getting in a dominant position in the clinch, potentially even like a standing rear naked where he jumps up and takes your back, or he gets into a position where he can drag you to the ground and then start to do work there. So very tricky. My guess is that when you lock up with him, he's very strong. This dude's got a 74-inch reach, 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. 5'10" isn't necessarily big for the division, isn't small, but a 74-inch reach is impressive. And he just looks very strong. He looks like he's filled out throughout his career. There was a point where he looked a little bit thinner, but now, and again, you just mix that with that raw aggression, it wears on guys. Even this little, nobody's talking about this this little thing that he does, this tactic that he uses where he comes out for these rounds, and he comes out especially at the beginning of these rounds, second round, third round, whatever it is, and he just cranks it up right away. I mean, look at the finishes that he's gotten within the first minute of some of these fights coming out on, like, whether it's the second or the third round. Like, this dude is just pedal to the metal. You combine that with the submissions and the grappling from the clinch work and the striking that he uses, it's very impressive. Very impressive. Now, I will also say this. He doesn't put all that much time into defense. Nobody's going to be looking at Charles Oliveira as although he's some defensive wizard. Not a defensive guru, right? Not a MMA version of Floyd Mayweather. Not out there moving around on his feet being elusive as though he's Pernell Whitaker, right? That's not the way that he rolls. He comes out there, again, flat foot right in front of you, cuts off the ring incredibly well, crowds you, pressure, everything. But he's there to be hit. He's there to be hit. You look at these last 4 fights that he's been in, every single person has hit him with good shots. Kevin Lee, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson. Every single one. Now, some of them hit him with more. Dustin Poirier lit him up with some hard shots. Looked like he hurt him. Michael Chandler dropped him in the first round of their fight. Looks like he hurt him. Right? We didn't necessarily see Kevin Lee hurt him, although he caught him with a lot of jabs, caught him with a lot of 1-2s. We didn't see Tony Ferguson hurt him, but again, caught him with some good shots. He's there to be hit. He's just going to be tougher than you. He's just going to weather it. He's just going to get up. He's going to take what you dish out, and then he's going to enforce his game on you. Right? You can see that that's the way that he rolls. And so far, it's been working. Took him all the way to the top, defended the belt with it. Now, is that going to work against Justin Gaethje? That's what remains to be seen. Because Justin Gaethje, I mean, he's a whole other beast, right? This is a dude who doesn't shy away from conflict either. For a long time, called himself the most violent man in MMA. Talks about his style, and he's like, it's like a controlled chaos. It's like a car crash. Right there. And I'm going to come out on top. That's what he wants to do. And he's good at it, man. Now, I think that's underestimating him a little bit, as though we just say he's some tough guy. He's just out there wanting to trade blows. It's true that he doesn't really necessarily mind getting hit, although he puts a little bit more into his defense than Charles Oliveira. Now, I'll get it. He gets hit a lot too, don't get me wrong. I remember back when James Vick was calling him the Homer Simpson of MMA, because when he first came in, first three big fights, right? Wins 1, loses 2, smokes Michael Johnson, and ends up losing Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, getting stopped in both of them. He dished out a lot of punishment, but he got stopped in both of them. And then James Vick's calling him the Homer Simpson of MMA, saying he gets beat up too much. And that just kind of gave Justin Gaethje the motivation he needed, not only to starch Vick, but also to put that run together, which eventually led to the title shot with Khabib. Gave him everything he needed to sit down with his coach, with Trevor Whitman, and just really put together this game plan and kind of work on this style that they were really going to use, that he was going to take, that was going to move him to the next level. Right? It was going to take him up and start to do the things that he was capable of doing. Not just going out there for the fans. Not just going out there for an exciting fight. I want to put it together and be a UFC world champion one day. So you got to start doing things a little different. And that's what we saw. Right? And I think it culminated in that fight with Tony Ferguson. Dude, look, you got to understand that Tony Ferguson, we look at him now coming off of these losses, but there was a point when Tony Ferguson was absolutely the boogeyman at 155 pounds. He was referred to as the uncrowned champion by a lot of people. A lot of people were just thinking him and Khabib is going to be the fight of the century. Like whoever loses is going to have to leave the country and just like it was that big, it was that huge. There was all the times that it fell through and all the buildup and everything, but that's how big he was. It's easy to forget that right now, coming off of the losses and the way in which he lost. And it was Justin Gaethje that kicked that off, man. It was Justin Gaethje that started that losing streak. It was Justin Gaethje that was landing that brutal right hand, just round after round after round, just lighting Tony Ferguson up, using beautiful footwork, finding those little small angles where he comes in and then cuts an angle and then lands the uppercut and then keeps it moving off to the side, where he's closing the distance and using feints, where he's got just, Justin Gaethje has got some of the nastiest leg kicks out there. He has a background in wrestling, NCAA Division I. He was out there. He was making it happen, obviously very successful in it. You wouldn't necessarily know from watching his UFC fights. Doesn't really go out there and use the wrestling. He's all about the hands, good power, good speed, makes it happen. Right? With the nasty, nasty leg kicks, which personally I think he should use more. I mean, we saw the way against Khabib. I think 2 of the 3 judges had him winning that first round against Khabib. He did that because of those leg kicks. He ended up buckling Khabib's leg right before he ended up getting choked out, getting submitted. But at the end of the day, they're nasty, man. They're nasty, right? So when I look at this fight and I really think about how it's going to go, let me say this. First of all, if I think about it positionally, if this is a stand-up fight, if it's a Muay Thai fight, man, it is going to be hectic. There is going to be violence. Neither one of these men believe in backing up. Neither one of these men believe in working at a measured rate. Neither one of them believe in keeping their man at the end of the jab. That's not the styles that they employ. And both of them bring a lot to the table. On the one hand, I look and I think Justin Gaethje is absolutely the more polished striker. He's going to be able to come out there and find ways to land that right hand. In between rounds, Daya Davis, the boxing coach for Dustin Poirier, was like, "What are you doing, man? Get your shots off. You can't miss this guy. You throw your punches down the middle. You can't miss this guy." Talking about Charles Oliveira. And that's because he's there to be hit. And we see it in all of his fights. It's going to happen with Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is going to land all of the shots that he wants to land, man. He's going to be able to go in there and land the overhand right. He's going to be able to land that right uppercut. He's going to be able to land that left hook. All of those things he's going to be able to get off with. He's going to be able to land that low kick when he wants to be able to go in there and get it off. The only question is what's going to happen when Charles Oliveira comes through it. Because there's going to be times when he's able to come through that. Absolutely, 100%. Right? We've seen it in every single one of his fights when he's able to come in there. He's able to wear these guys down. He's able to land these knees to the body. My guess is that Justin Gaethje has got a little trick up his sleeve. That he figured something out in a way because of the way that the fight went with Khabib. Right? That was his fight with Khabib. It was one that which he wanted to keep it striking. He wanted to keep it at the distance and the pace that he wanted. Didn't want Khabib to get too close and initiate a grappling match. It's the same thing with this one. Right, the takedowns are different, the style of grappling is different, but he does not want to get into a clinch with Charles Oliveira. If this goes to a clinch, if this goes to the ground, if this goes into any kind of an extended grappling match, Charles Oliveira is a heavy favorite. He gets into the clinch, he's got beautiful elbows, he's got beautiful knees in close. He's probably even got a striking advantage in close. When he's really in close tight, if he's got that Muay Thai lock around his neck, that plum, he's probably got a striking advantage over Justin Gaethje, not even talking about the grappling, which is for sure an advantage. So those are really dangerous positions for Justin Gaethje. It's really where Oliveira wants to get in. He is just so relentless, which is one of the reasons why I'll say I find it hard to believe that this fight isn't going to end early. Right? I kind of find it hard to believe that this one's going to go the distance, and neither one of these guys really paces themselves for 25 minutes. And even though they're both tough as nails, when neither man is pacing themselves, when both of them are just coming out there with the intention to finish it because they feel it complements their style and increases their chances of winning, it's going to be hard to go all 25. So, I'm torn a little bit when I think about who's going to come out on top here. Because on the one hand, if I look at the technical aspect, I think Charles Oliveira has a lot of advantages. I think he works beautiful shots up the middle with those kicks, goes to the body good. He's got good low kicks, and, he's definitely got the advantage when it comes to the grappling. But part of me thinks, man, he gets lit up in every fight. He gets caught with shots in every fight and gets hurt. And that is not what you want to be doing against Justin Gaethje. You do not want to be eating that right hand. You do not want to be taking those shots and getting hurt, trying to trade with him and just wear him down. So tough, so tough. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to make a pick. And I'm going to take Charles Oliveira in this one. I think he's going to find a way to come out with the victory. I think he is just at the top of his game right now, and he's going to find a way to turn this into a grappling match. He's going to find a way to get it inside the clinch, and he's going to end it early. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think, are we going to see Ann still, or is this going to be Ann new? Is Justin Gaethje going to find a way to kind of solve that puzzle that nobody's been able to figure out recently and come out with that victory? Let me know what you guys think.